we go.
Okay, so it's preparing to do it again. I don't have, I guess.
Why is there only 36, Lorraine? Because years ago, when I lived in the Netherlands, there was a girl who was becoming Orthodox, and she had a book. It was really thick, and all these things you couldn't do on Shabbos. Pick up toys, do this. Kids could roller skate in the basement, but they couldn't roller skate outside. I mean, you couldn't believe all the things they couldn't do. Are these 36? Is that the only ones that are listed, and the other are man-made?
Well, yeah, none of them are specifically listed. So what happened was that the people who were doing the Mishnah, so this is like, what, 3rd century or something like that,
Yeah.
read through the rest of Vayachel and some other parts of the Torah and said, these are the things that were required to build the Mishkan, and that, so they would be the things that would be included as work. Yeah, so I know as it grew, I suppose people, it's the fences around fences kind of problem. Because the one that struck me is like, I don't see anything in here that says you can't tear the toilet paper, so you don't really have to do that on Friday before the sun goes down.
And it's in this other book. That's why it says that.
Yeah, so like I say, these are the ones, according to the Mishnah. In practice, there's a whole lot more. And then, of course, there's the interpretations that say, is turning on your laptop making fire or flipping the light switch? Do you need
That's why they don't switch it. That's why you get a Shabbos goy, or you get a timer.
Yeah, do you have to unscrew the light bulb in the refrigerator so that it doesn't come on if you open it? There's a lot of things that got added on to.
My oven has a Shabbat mode.
There you go.
Okay. It came that way.
Mine's not that bright, but yeah, so a lot of things have been done. And, just as, don't boil a kid in its mother's milk turned into, you got to have 4 sets of dishes, 2 for Pesach and 2 for the rest of the year, so that you keep your meat and your milk separate, and 2 dishwashers at least. It's like
2 refrigerators.
What God said. But, people have interpreted, and a lot of these things have built up over the years. And then, it's like on top of that, it's like modern technologies that have made things possible, are things, if I typed part of my Devar into the computer last night, it's like, well, I didn't write 2 characters, but I caused them. So yeah, there's a lot to it. So you've got all those details and the expanded ones in other people's books that said, hey, no, it's not just those 39, it's a bunch more. I can't believe that they didn't find a 40th, because 40 is such a good number, but that's what they came up with. So beyond those details, there's the spirit of Shabbat that might be even more important. And through the ages, people have asked, why Shabbat? And one thought is simply that it's to keep the world functioning, that at any given moment, there's at most 6 days worth of God energy to keep things going. And we need that 7th day each week to refill the reservoir. Another thought is that even in the darkest of times, Shabbat provides a ray of hope, something to look forward to or even to live for. Life might be miserable for 6 days, but on Shabbat, even the poorest beggar is a king in his own table. A more fanciful theory says that after the world was established and people were going about the tasks of life, the Torah asked God what its role would be. After all, people would get too busy and set it aside. And God's answer was that there would be a Shabbat, one day every week for people to study and interact with the Torah, as no mundane work would be allowed. Similarly, Rabbi Mordecai Kaplan suggests that Shabbat is a time for us to step away from our work and get a bit of perspective, like an artist stepping back to get a macro view of the art and to get out of the details. It's a chance for us to take stock of how we are living our lives. Are there adjustments we need to make in the next week to be better people? And both Eric Fromm and Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel said that Shabbat liberates us from the bondage of time. For one day, we don't have to watch the clock. We can step back and not be controlled by our technology and our shoulds. We can devote ourselves to being more than doing, and to giving rather than owning, and to sharing rather than controlling. Pinchas Pelly extends these ideas and says Shabbat lets us focus on the purpose of life. It's not about conquering nature and building structures. It's about conquering our own impulses and building good human souls. We often read in our services that even as Israel has kept the Sabbath has kept Israel. That is a recurrent theme among many, many, many commentators that I looked at. So I'm as likely as any of you to be running errands this afternoon, but the idea of picking one Shabbat to really try to observe it has some appeal. Because even a half a day, not just going through the motions, but truly honoring Shabbat might be enlightening. Today won't be the one, but maybe soon. So that's what I have to say about that. So again, it's like not necessarily beyond reach, although if you have your Ellen's Friends book, it's like, well, maybe it is. Because there's a lot of crazy there in my mind. Not to say that it's not legitimate.
She was converting and boy, Orthodox and this book, and she was asking, she had to know them. And she was memorizing them. And I was helping her, and I couldn't believe some of the things that was in that.
Mm-hmm.
When you couldn't do.
Yeah, and
as a Reformed Jew, we don't do those.
We don't. Yeah, we just sort of don't do them. Well, and it was interesting. You know, I have a friend who goes to Beth Jacob, and we've chatted several times about, you know, what we've been doing about services throughout the pandemic. And I'm like, well, we just moved to Zoom. We hardly missed a beat, really. I mean, it would have been nice to be together, but you know, we just kept going. She's like, well, they couldn't do that. Televising it was out of the question. So they got themselves back to the building as quickly as they could. Note that most of them drive there. So it seems like if you can drive your car there, you might have been able to Zoom, but that's not where they took it. And I know I get the weekly emails from Northern Hills, and they also talked about, well, you know, at one point they were saying, let's make sure we have all the computers turned on before sundown on Friday so that we can use them on Saturday, because it's not like we're starting them up then. So, you know, various denominations of Judaism have their own spins and interpretations on what is or is not work and what constitutes Shabbat and what doesn't. So I thought it was interesting. I definitely, you know, was a fan of our approach, which said, don't be stupid, just put it on Zoom. But you know, they are being consistent with their seriously held beliefs, and I respect that a great deal. So
Temple Israel didn't have Zoom. They did drive-through.
Yeah.
So, went in your car.
Yeah, well, we did some parking lot services as we went through the time too. So
yeah, but they did it every Friday.
Yeah.
Drive-through.
So it's like, well, whatever works for them. Anyway, Mary, you have a song for us?
Well, you and I had spoke briefly about something that ties in current events. And what I was thinking of is Hey John Koya. It's the only song I have that relates directly to what's going on in the Ukraine right now. But just a one little 2-line history. The John Koya memorialized in the song, it was actually a Jewish collective farm that was established during the Stalin era in the Crimean region of the Ukraine. There are a few other rather dated recordings of this Yiddish song, translated by Pete Seeger. Also, the Limelighters recorded it in the 1960s, but I think it's been around much, much longer than that. The political relevance is, of course, that, and this commentary was written in 2014, just to put it in perspective. The recent events in the region that have resulted in Russia resuming a claim on this territory, which is why I think you and I felt that this might be a good song. I don't think I should do all the Yiddish, maybe the first verse and then do the rest in English. Do you recommend that?
That's probably good.
Okay, let's do that. Just to start it out for the spirit of the song.
Right.
As man voit kein Sevastopol, is net bet von Simferopol, dorten is es dann sehr voran. Wir darf suchen neue Glücken, sis es dann sehr einen Tickle, in John Koya, John, John, John. And if you feel it, here's that sing-along. Hey John Koya, hey John Philly, hey John Koya, John, John, John. If you go to Sevastopol on the way to Simferopol, just a little further down, there they have a railroad station known quite well through all the nation as John Coyer, John, John, John. Sing it like you mean it. Hey John Coyer, hey John Billy, hey John Coyer, hey John Coyer, John, John, John. Hey John Coyer, hey John Billy, hey John Coyer, hey John Coyer, John, John, John. If you go to paradise, you'll see it there before your eyes. Stop your search and go no further on. There we have a collective farm all run by husky Jewish arms in John Coyer, John, John, John. Hey John Coyer, hey John Billy, hey John Coyer, hey John Coyer, John, John, John. Hey John Coyer, hey John Billy, hey John Coyer, hey John Coyer, John, John, John. Aunt Natasha drives the tractor, Grandma runs the cream extractor. While at work we all can sing our song. Who says that Jews cannot be farmers? Spit in their eye who wish to harm us. Tell them all John Coyer, John. Hey John Coyer, hey John Billy, hey John Coyer, hey John Coyer, John, John, John. Hey John Coyer, hey John Billy, hey John Coyer, hey John Coyer, John, John, John. With love to our brothers and our sisters out there.
And for all the people of Ukraine, not just the Jewish ones, but our hearts definitely go out to them. I hope that somebody can stop the Russians. And with that, we'll turn to our Aleinu prayer. It's on page 586 if you're in the book. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gahor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo U'shemo echad. And we begin to turn our thoughts to those we have lost at this season. Start with one of my new favorite readings that I've been using quite a bit here lately. Every time you act kindly, the world has more kindness. Every time you are compassionate, the world has more compassion. Every time you smile to someone, the world is a more cheerful place. Every time you give money to charity, the world is a more charitable place. Every time you calm someone who is angry, the world is a more pleasant place. Every time you judge someone favorably, you are making the world a kinder place to live in. Every time you help transform someone's worry into serenity, the world is a more serene place. Every time you encourage someone to do something for others, you create a partner to make a better world. And as we turn to the Kaddish prayer, we remember this week the anniversaries of the deaths of Roy Booth, Edith Simon, Sidney Phillips, Elspeth Schlesinger, Anna Shapiro Fishman, Jerry Goldstein, Leona Jacobs, Sadie Nelson, Dwayne Taylor, David Yates, and Dorothy Gutman. And we are also still in the Shloshim period for Dr. Ron Gilbert, who passed away a few weeks ago. Are there any other names that we should add to our Kaddish list? And again, we would add those who have been killed as part of the invasion of the Ukraine to our list. Yit Gadal Viet Kadash Shemei Rabbah V'Alma Devarach Hirute V'Amlich Malchute V'Kayechon Uvyomechon V'Kaye Dekol Beit Yisrael V'Agalav Vizman Kariv V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mivarach Le'olam Olamei Amaya Yit Barak V'Yishtabach V'Yit Pa'ar V'Yit Ramam V'Yit Naseh V'Yit Hadar V'Yit Alev V'Yit Halal Shemed V'Kudusha B'Richu Le'elam Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'mrumav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Let's see, I think in terms of any announcements, Makor is live tomorrow. There's, yay. And I think next week's service will be with Mark Rossio and Judy. Which will probably be, well, we'll see. I don't know for sure if it's going to be in person or Zoomed or both, or streamed at least. And let's see, according to my informed delivery, the light should be showing up in my mailbox today. So, yay. So the rest of you should be getting yours soon, if not now.
And Arlene, in case I forget to email that to you, the link will be in the article that we included in this light. The link to go to the so you can watch it again. You'll like that.
Yeah, that'd be great. So
You trust me?
I trust you.
This feels like the perfect ending song.
Fair enough.
All right. Last night I had the strangest dream I never dreamed before. I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war. I dreamed I saw a mighty room filled with women and men, and the paper they were signing said they'd never fight again. Oh, say shalom, oh, say shalom, bimromav, Uya say shalom, Uya say shalom, Aleinu, ve'al Yisrael. And when the papers all were signed, 1,000,000 copies made, they all joined hands and bowed their heads, and grateful prayers were prayed. And the people in the streets below were dancing round and round, with shotguns and swords and uniforms scattered on the ground. Oh, say shalom, bimromav, Uya say shalom, Uya say shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Thank you, Ed McCurdy, for a great song and for allowing us to change it just a little bit. That last verse always chokes me. And the people in the streets below were dancing round and round, and guns and swords and uniforms were scattered on the ground. Do one more Oseh with me. Ose Shalom, Divrobad, Yase Shalom, Yase Shalom, Aleinu, Ve'akol Yisrael, to all the world.
Thank you very much, Mary. Thank you to everyone who joined us, everybody who will join us virtually, more virtually than this, so streaming or whatever. We're not sure what happened with the first half, and since there's usually, I have this thing, usually my machine has this thing to say upload the stream, and I don't see that. So it says stop view or
it may have shown up in two parts, maybe.
It may show up in two parts. It may not have shown up at all. It may show up one of them. We just don't know because we're not sure how things got cut, but I'm going to